Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki. ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki. Vrindavanam ki jai. Mayapur ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Maya ki jai. Yamuna Maya ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol. All glories to some devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to some devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to some devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishi Gun, Shi Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, entitled Prithu Maharaj's Meeting with the Four Kamaras, Text 27. Dagdasayo muktasamassa tadguno naivatmano bahi antavichaste paratmano yad vyavadhanam purastat sapne yata purushastad vinasye dagdasayo mukta samassa tadguno naivatmano bahi antavichaste paratmano yadvyavadhanam purastat sapne yata purushastad vinasye dagdasayo mukta samassa tadguno naivatmano bahi antavichaste paratmano yadvyavadhanam purastat sapne yata purusastad vinase naivatmano bahi antavichaste paratmano yadvyavadhanam purastat nayata purushadha vinase sato mukta samasata gano naivatmano bahi antavichaste paratmano yadvyavadhanam purastat sapne yata purushastad vinashe. Matajis. Dagdasayo mukta Sapne yatha purashastha vinase dasaya mukta samasatad guna Anubhahi anta vichaste Atmano yavyavadhanam purastat Sapne yatha purashastad vinas. Word for dagda asaya. All material desires being burned. Mukta, liberated. Samasta, all. Tatguna, qualities in connection with matter. Na, not. Eva, certainly. Atmana, the soul or the supersoul. Bahir, external. Anta, internal. Vichaste, acting. Para atmano, of the supersoul. Yat, that. Vyavadanam, difference. Purastat, as it was in the beginning. Sapne, in dream. Yata, as. Purusha, a person. Tat, that. Vinase, being finished. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When a person becomes devoid of all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, he transcends distinctions between actions executed externally and internally. At that time, the difference between the soul and the supersoul, which was existing before self-realization, is annihilated. When a dream is over, there is no longer a distinction between the dream and the dreamer. Purport, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anyabhilasita sunyam. One must be devoid of all material desires. When a person becomes devoid of all material desires, there is no longer a need for speculative knowledge or fruitive activities. In that condition, it is to be understood that one is free from the material body. The example is already given above. A coconut which is dry is loosened from its outward husk. This is the stage of liberation. As said in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.6, Mukti, liberation, means Srupena Vyavastiti, being situated in one's own constitutional position. All material desires are present as long as one is in the bodily concept of life. But when one realizes that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, his desires are no longer material. A devotee acts in this consciousness. In other words, when material desires in connection with the body are finished, one is actually liberated. When one is liberated from the material qualities, he does not do anything for his personal sense gratification. At that time, all activities performed by him are absolute. In the conditioned state, there are two kinds of activities. One acts on behalf of the body, and at the same time he acts to become liberated. The devotee, when he is completely free from all material desires or all material qualities, transcends the duality of action for the body and soul. Then the bodily concept of life is completely over. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Iha yasya hare dasya kamana manasa gira nikalasvapyavastasu jivan muktas uchite. When one is completely fixed in the service of the Lord, he is a liberated person in any condition of life. He is called Jivan Mukta, liberated even within this body. In such a liberated condition, there is no distinction between actions for sense gratification and actions for liberation. When one is liberated from the desires of sense gratification, He has no longer to suffer the reactions of lamentation or illusion. Activities performed by the karmis and jnanis are subject to lamentation and illusion. But a self-realized liberated person acting only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead experiences none. This is the stage of oneness, or merging into the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that the individual soul, while keeping his individuality, no longer has separate interests. He is fully in the service of the Lord, and he has nothing to do for his personal sense gratification. Therefore, he sees only the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not himself. His personal interest completely perishes. When a person comes out of a dream, the dream vanishes. While dreaming, a person may consider himself a king and see the royal paraphernalia, his soldiers, etc. But when the dream is over, he does not see anything beyond himself. Similarly, a liberated person understands that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, acting in accordance with the desire of the Supreme Lord. And as such, there is no distinction between himself and the Supreme Lord, although both of them retain their individuality. Nicho nichanam chetanas chetananam. This is the perfect conception of oneness in relation to the Supersoul and the soul. Translation: when a person becomes devoid of all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, he transcends distinctions between actions executed externally and internally. At that time, the difference between the soul and the supersoul, which was existing before self-realization, is annihilated. When a dream is over, there is no longer a distinction between the dream and the dreamer. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshumlatam Jena Taisme Shri Gurave Namah. Nasa Presha Badrisho Nicham Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Yutmasloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class. Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam class. Ki. So, I'm based at New Govardhan. 1 day's drive, so I just drove down the other day, so nice to be here. I joined here originally 40 years ago, so this was my home for 20 years, so it's always nice to come back and see Radha Gopinath, Gauranitai, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and all the wonderful devotees. So, probably most of you weren't in this life 40 years ago. Who's in their 20s? Who's in their 30s? Who's in their 40s? Anyone over 40 or 50? Well, actually, you're all wrong. Because this is the first thing we need to understand, that we're not 20, we're not 30, we're not 40, we're not 50, but we are all eternal souls full of happiness and knowledge, and we don't belong in this material world. This is not our real home. We cannot be happy by just enjoying the senses, and we cannot live forever here. Prabhupada says, like, everyone gets kicked out, ultimately, of this body. The building is going to stay for some time, but, you know, we live in a house, a building, a temple, but ultimately we have to go, but the building still stays. So this is the first thing we need to understand, that I'm not this body, I'm an eternal spirit soul, I belong in the spiritual world, and my real business is Krishna consciousness, is devotional service. Falsely, the conditioned soul in this material world, he's taking this world to be his home. He's thinking sense gratification is my real business of life, just to enjoy material pleasures, fulfill my material desires. And he's thinking that I can be happy just by accumulating wealth and possessions and position and name and fame, not understanding that he cannot take any of it beyond his life, cannot take even 1 cent. As Lord Jesus Christ said, what profiteth a man if he gains the whole world but loses his eternal soul? So we cannot even take this body. So many nice, wonderful instructions here. Prithu Maharaj is a meeting with the four Kumaras. So in the beginning of the chapter, Prithu Maharaj is offering many wonderful prayers and glorification of the four Kumaras, who are like the original sons of Lord Brahma. They're even older than Lord Shiva. They appeared before Lord Shiva. And they're eternal brahmacharis. And even though they're only like 5-year-old boys and they stay in that youthful form eternally as 5-year-old boys, they're full of transcendental realization and instruction. And they're able to even totally enlighten and purify even a great king like Maharaj Prithu. Of course, Maharaj Prithu is a Nityasiddha as well. But because he's a Nityasiddha, an eternally liberated soul, he is acting in a very humble position, realizing that these great personalities, the four Kumaras, they have been sent by Krishna, and they're here to give me full knowledge of my eternal loving devotional service to Krishna. They're here to enlighten me so that I can be fully reinstated in my eternal occupation, 24/7, engaging fully in the service of Krishna. So this is the real business of all living entities. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sajjakabanaya, pure love for Krishna is within the hearts of all living entities. Shravanadi Sutite Kadarayodaya. By hearing and chanting about Krishna, chanting Krishna's names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Glorifying Krishna's pastimes, his qualities, his forms, his devotees. Then this is the way to bring about the dormant love for Krishna within any living entity. Srila Prabhupada says, no, even a dog can become Krishna conscious. We all know the story of Shivananda Shane and the dog. Many examples of animals. You can read that book by Janananda Goswami, Animals and Krishna Consciousness. Anyone seen that book? Many wonderful stories. Worms, dogs, cows, cats, attaining the mercy of the Vaishnavas and the process of Krishna consciousness. So, Srila Prabhupada quotes Rupa Goswami that one must be devoid of all material desires. Why? We may question, why do we have to be, especially materialists is going to ask, why do we have to be free of material desires? I'm enjoying in this world. Because these material desires don't give us happiness. They give us so much anxiety and frustration. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Shakalaya Shanta. Krishna Bhakta Naishkama Atava Shanta. It states that one who is after bhukti, sense gratification, mukti, one who wants impersonal liberation, one who wants siddhi kami, mystic perfections. Shakalaya Shanta, he cannot be peaceful. He's always in anxiety. But Krishna Bhakta Naishkama, because he has no material desires, only desires to serve and love Krishna and spread Krishna consciousness all around the world. Ataiva Shanta, only he can be peaceful and free from all anxieties. So we see so many people in this material world, whether they be a pauper in the street or the king or queen or president or the most famous rock star, the wealthiest person in the world, the most beautiful person in this world that we experience. But they're all in anxiety. As Sankirtan devotees, sometimes we go and do Sankirtan in places where people are really trying to enjoy, so-called enjoy, on their weekends, at the pubs, at the nightclubs, at the horse races. We're out there selling books or collecting donations. And we see even in these places, people are full of anxiety and stress. And they have to take intoxication to try and pretend that they've got it all made and that they're happy. So, as Srila Prabhupada says, from Lord Brahma down to the insignificant ant, all living entities on the material platform, no one is happy. Abrahma bhuvanaloka puna avatanojana mamo pecha tukuntaya puna janmana vijate. From the highest planet in the material world, Brahmaloka, down to the lowest planet, Patalaloka, all the living entities are suffering in a temporary situation. But one who attains to my eternal abode never takes birth again in this material world. So, material life is basically the living entity in material life without controlling his mind and senses and placing them at the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. He has hundreds and thousands of material desires and they're never fulfilled. And basically, material life is based on 5 premises. Pavaga, the path of material existence. People work hard, they foam at the mouth, sweat like a horse. They're frustrated. They're totally fearful. And death. So this is the basically material existence. And Pavaga. But Krishna consciousness is apavaga, the path of liberation, the path of ecstasy, where one can be ecstatically engaged in Krishna's service under the guidance of the spiritual master 24 hours a day. So Krishna consciousness is an Nandam Buddhi Vardhanam, an ever-increasing ocean of transcendental happiness. The more we dive into serving Krishna with love, without any motivations for name, fame, adoration, distinction, without any desire for material gain, then the more we experience the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. Bhakti is the name of our process and surrender is the game. So this is the only path in which all living entities can be free from all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, liberated from all upadhis, these false identifications that I am Australian, I am French, I'm Chinese, I'm black or white, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm young or old, I'm a dog, cat, I'm a demigod. Like Prabhupada would say, when you're in your car, you may have a very nice car, you may have Rolls Royce, Mercedes. Does anyone say, I am the Mercedes, I am the Rolls Royce? No, we say, this is my Mercedes, my Rolls Royce. So there's the driver, and there's the machine, the car. At any time we can hop out of that car and hop into a new car. So we say, this is my body. We don't say, I am the body. We say, this is my body, my arms, my legs, my face. But who is the my? The my is the owner, the living being. So people cannot even understand this basic premise of spiritual life, spiritual understanding, that we're not this body. You speak to many people, you explain these simple analogies, they just cannot get it because they're contaminated. So contaminated. In Kali Yuga, people are so contaminated because of so much sinful activity, their intelligence is completely covered over. But the process of Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even one slight hearing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra once, or taking prasadam once, or reading, even Prabhupada says, one word, one line, one page of these books, people can be freed from more sins than they can commit in millions of lifetimes. What to speak of people actively take up Krishna consciousness. Sankecham pariyasham va stovam helanameva vai vaikuntha nama grahanam ashishangam haram vidu. In the 6th canto, in relation to Ajamil, it states that if one chants the holy name derisively or neglectfully, or for musical entertainment or jokingly, one is liberated from unlimited sinful activities. So we should understand that the power, devotees should understand the power of this Krishna conscious process, and how even though people are the most fallen in Kali Yuga, they can be liberated to the topmost position of pure lovers of Krishna in one lifetime. Prabhupada says in 1 second, we can be fully Krishna conscious. Or we may not attain Krishna consciousness after millions of lifetimes. So, people are so fallen. Lord Chaitanya, Patita Pavana, the Saviour of the most fallen. One devotee said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. Prabhupada said, you're not the most of anything. Giriraj Maharaj said, Prabhupada, sometimes I feel like I'm in Maya. Prabhupada said, you're always in Maya. So this is our position. We have no qualifications. Our only qualification is if we take up this process given by Krishna and Guru, this wonderful process of devotional service, which we can make a solutions to all the problems, all the ignorance of this material world, all the frustrations, and solve the problems of birth, death, old age and disease, and go back home, back to Godhead, back to Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka Premadana Hani Nama Sangatana, Rati Janmelo Kenatai. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Directly transported from Goloka Vrindavan. We're so unfortunate we do not have a taste for the chanting of Hare Krishna. But this is the Yugadam, the process for Kali Yuga, for achieving the perfection of life. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. That Krishna's name is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's invested with all the potencies of Krishna. It's not under the modes of material nature. It's not a material vibration. Like Srila Prabhupada said, you can chant Mr. John, Mr. John, Mr. John. How long can you chant that for? A few minutes and you'll be totally sick of it. Devotees have been chanting for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They're in just as much ecstasy to keep chanting Hare Krishna and dancing and feasting. Simple process. We're not very intelligent, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us a very simple process. Chant, dance and feast. Continue this process 24 hours a day. But the living entity in the material world is very stubborn, as we experience when we try to preach Krishna consciousness, when we go out and try and distribute books, try and give people the holy names. Many people are refusing. They're thinking we are crazy. Prabhupada would say, who is crazy? They're thinking these Hare Krishna shaved heads, orange bed sheets, they're giving up illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, meat eating. They must be completely mad. These are the real pleasures of life. Like there was one in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's day. There was one big British lord, I can't remember his name, but he was asking Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples, can you make me a Brahmin? Does anyone remember his name? Was it Zetland? Maybe. And they said, first you have to give up these sinful activities. And he said, impossible. That's our pleasure of life. So this world is a madhouse. Like Prabhupada, when he was in Sydney, he saw the sign Paramatta Road. He said, Pramata, mad. Pramata means mad. Devotees also, when they see Paramatta, they think Paramatma, Supersoul. Black Town, Sham Town, Gold Coast, Gora Coast. Surfer's paradise. For the materialists, it's sufferer's paradise. For the devotees, it's service paradise. Brisbane, Bridgebun. Harvey Bay, Harvey Bay. So, this is a madhouse. People are thinking this is, such a wonderful place. I'm so happy here. But the devotees know it's completely mad, completely insane. Especially in Kali Yuga, you just have to walk out the door. People are working hard from 5 o'clock in the morning. Prabhupada says if they were actually intelligent, they're driving 2 hours every day in peak hour traffic and 2 hours back. Prabhupada says that they're actually intelligent. They ring up their friends in Penrith and say, you do my work over there and I'll do your work over here, so we don't have to drive back and forth. But they won't do that because they're foolish materialists. So it's like a madhouse. Like if you go to a mental asylum, sometimes the people are claiming to be Krishna. Some of them are claiming to be Jesus Christ, or they're claiming to be Hitler or Napoleon. And sometimes the doctor has to come around and give them a needle to like bring them back to a bit of sanity. And the patients think, no, I'm not crazy, you're the crazy one, and they try and turn the needle around and jab it in the doctor. So that's like when we're preaching in Krishna consciousness, we meet people on the street, get a real job. You're dreaming, you're escaping reality. Get out of here. Stop annoying me, stop wasting my time. So it's very difficult to preach to the materialists. But still the power of Krishna consciousness is so potent that even if people don't take a book, they get to hear the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or they take some prasadam. Many people, they don't want a book, they don't want to join in the chanting, but they're eager to take prasadam. They'll go to Govindas, they go to Gopinaths, cardamom pot. So there, Prabhupada said, this is my secret weapon. Prabhupada was asking all his disciples, the GBCs, the temple presidents, sannyasis, so how did you come to Krishna consciousness? One by one they were saying, it was your prasadam, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, yes, I tricked you all. So, for a devotee, he automatically, we can become free of all material desires. As I said before, in one moment you can be fully Krishna conscious. This powerful process is so powerful, given by Srila Prabhupada. Morning and evening program, it's like the sandwich program. If you have a sandwich, 2 pieces of bread, and you have your salad ingredients inside, and you put a nice wrapper around, an elastic band, keeps it all together. So if we attend the morning and evening programs, sandwich program, and have service through the day, then we can stay fully Krishna conscious our whole life. So, devotees experience the higher taste, param drisva nivartate. Even though we've had material desires for millions of births, we've never been satisfied. We've taken birth after birth after birth. And in every life, the living entity is thinking that he's satisfied. Even in a pig's body, a cockroach's body, a dog's body, they're thinking, I'm totally satisfied, I've got it made. The pigs, as long as they get their hot stool every day, they're thinking they're totally satisfied. So abominable, having sex with a sister, mother, daughter, wallowing in mud. Those from India, you'll know that sometimes the pigs, people pass stool in the fields, the pigs come and they're almost pushing the human beings over to try and get that fresh hot stool. So, one time Indra, he was cursed because he was offensive to his spiritual master, Brihaspati. He was cursed to take birth as a pig on this planet. And he had a pig family, piglets, pig wife, wallowing in the mud, eating stool. And Lord Brahma came and said, what are you doing? You're the king of heaven, give up this position, come back to the king of heaven. And Lord Arjuna was saying, no, I'm satisfied, I'm fully happy here. Lord Brahma was thinking, how can I get this rascal to understand how fallen he is? And so he thought, this is how I'll do it. I'll kill the family members one by one. And when it's down to him, he'll wake up. So Lord Brahma killed all the family members and it was only Indra left. And then Indra realized, I should go back to heaven. But people, as Prabhupada says, people are living a life of hogs and dogs. But even they're in such a niggardly position, it's still very hard to extricate them. Does anyone know what example Prabhupada gave? One example comes to mind. Worm in stool. You heard this example, Prabhupada said the worm in the stool. He's thinking it's very comfortable, very warm situation. This is my home. You pull him out, he'll crawl back in. So this is the living entity. As long as he's not fixed in Krishna consciousness, he's going to fall back to material path of sense gratification, of ignorance. And as Srila Prabhupada says in this purport, that devotee neither acts for sense gratification or liberation. He only wants to be engaged in devotional service to Krishna. He doesn't even care about liberation. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, "My Lord, even if you want me to take birth again in this material world, I pray that it may be in the house of your devotee, even as an insignificant insect." Of course, this is a very elevated prayer. Prabhupada said, back home, back to Godhead. We should desire to go back to the spiritual world. Like Prabhupada says, this world is not a fit place for a gentleman. It's like a stoolhouse. You do your business in the stoolhouse, you get out as quick as possible. So as devotees, we do our business here, become fully Krishna conscious, and then leave it up to Krishna whether he wants to take us back to the spiritual world or Suchanam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhashta Bhajayate. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that person who falls away from Krishna consciousness after short practice, he's born into a family of rich aristocratic people or brahmanas, and if he falls away, if he's not successful after long practice, he's born into a family of Vaishnavas. Such a birth is very, very rare in this world. So no loss, whether we go back to Godhead or whether we come back here again, we go on serving Krishna. Like Srila Prabhupada says, the machine that makes hay, those big hay bales, you put it in hell or heaven or here, it goes on making hay. So the devotee, whether he's in hell or heaven or on earth, he goes on serving Krishna. Narayana parasavi nakutashyana bibhiti svaga pavaga narakeshu apito yata darshana. Devotees never fear any condition of life, whether they go to hell or heaven or liberation. Their only business, their only concern is how to love Krishna, how to serve Krishna, how to preach the glories of Krishna all around the world. And Srila Prabhupada says that as long as a person is not liberated from desires for sense gratification, he has to suffer the reactions of lamentation and illusion. Activities performed by karmis and gyanis are subject to lamentation and illusion. So if even the karmis and gyanis are subject to lamentation and illusion, what to speak of the vikarmis? Now we call people out there karmis, but they're actually vikarmis. They're not following any principles of Vedic culture, completely engaged in sinful activities their whole life. So it's no wonder there's so much suffering in the form of anxiety, stress, disease, floods, earthquakes, pestilence, wars. It's so constant in Kali Yuga. And this is a reaction to people's individual and collective and international sinful activities. Billions of animals killed every year, so much intoxication, so much gambling, so much prostitution, illicit sex. People shouldn't be surprised that these horrific karmic reactions are there. But people don't see the connection. Because people are proud, generally in Kali Yuga, a pauper is proud of his penny, right? People have nothing spiritually, although materially they might have a little bit of wealth. But they're a pauper because spiritually they're completely poor. Still, they're very proud of their little temporary position, their temporary wealth. But in time, it's all taken away. A man may be a big owner of some company or factory, and all his workers are praising him all the time. They come in and then he passes away. And they put a picture on the wall, and every day they're still like offering respect to our previous manager. But his next life he's probably a rat or a cockroach because of his attachment in the same building. Someone comes along and like, oh, dirty cockroach, squish. So this is the material world is like a. There was one punishment they used to do in the old days that a prisoner. Prabhupada mentions this punishment that a prisoner, when for his crime, they would take him out on a boat in a river or a lake, and they would drop him off the side and keep him submerged underwater until he'd practically lost his life. They'd bring him up for a few breaths of air, and he'd think, "Oh, that air is so nice, thank God." And then they'd push him down again and again and again. So this is our position in the material world. Sometimes we're Lord Brahma, sometimes we're King of Heaven, sometimes, President on this planet, but the next moment we're a worm and stool or a cockroach. Like Prabhupada said about, I think he was the first president of India. Nehru, was he the first president of India? After independence? Anyway, he was one of the early ones. Prabhupada said in his next life he became a poodle in Sweden. So people are very proud, and therefore it's harder for a rich man to enter a kingdom of God than for it to put a camel through an eye of a needle, Lord Jesus said. So people, unfortunately, they're very, very proud of practically nothing. Even Lord Brahma was proud, right? He is thinking, I'm the Lord of this universe, this creation. And one day he wanted to go and see Lord Narayan in the spiritual world. And he came to the doorkeepers. This is on this planet in Dwarka. And he came to Dwarka, to the doorkeepers, and he said, "I'd like to see Lord Krishna." And they said, "So who are you?" And he said, "What do you mean, who am I? I'm Lord Brahma, Lord of this creation." They said, "Okay, well, we'll just ask our Lord Krishna." They went in, came back, and Krishna said, "Well, just ask him which Lord Brahma he is." And they came back, and they said, "So which Lord Brahma are you?" And he said, "What do you mean, which Lord Brahma? I am the Lord Brahma." And they said, "Anyway, you can come into Dwarka, see the Lord." He came into the assembly of Lord Krishna, and he paid his obeisances, and he said, "I'm curious, my Lord. Your servants asked me which Lord Brahma I am." And Krishna just smiled and immediately manifested like thousands and millions of other Lord Brahmas. And our Lord Brahma had 4 heads, and all these other Lord Brahmas had 10, 20, 100,000, a million heads, and they're all bowing down to Krishna. And Lord Brahma suddenly realized how insignificant he was. He felt like a little straw amongst many elephants. So once Srila Prabhupada was humbling one of his devotees in the early days in America, and he said, "So this material world is just like a cloud in the corner of the sky of the whole spiritual world. And in this material creation, we're in one universe, which is one out of billions of universes. And this is a very small universe. In this one universe, there's billions of planets. We're on one planet, Earth, which is a very small planet. Just like a speck in the whole universe. Like one mustard seed out of millions of mustard seeds in a bag of mustard seeds." And he said, on this one planet, there's many countries. We're in one country, America, which is only a very small part of the whole planet Earth. And we're in one city, Los Angeles, which is only a dot on the map of America. And there's many hundreds of suburbs. And we're in one street, La Cienega Boulevard, in Los Angeles, very small part of the city. And there's one devotee as the temple president here thinking he's very important. So even as temple president or GBC or sannyasi or Sankirtan leader or head cook, we may become proud. And this is a great block to spiritual understanding, so we should always be in the mood of being humble. The materialist They're also very proud because they're thinking that I am the Lord of all I survey. I am the enjoyer, I am the controller, everything's for my enjoyment. This is the disease of the materialistic person. And they're thinking there is no God. Prabhupada, when he first went to London, the reporters interviewed him, and they were thinking, oh, Prabhupada's going to think, oh, London's such a wonderful city, you know. And they said, Prabhupada, Swamiji, what do you think about London? Prabhupada said, hell. It's always raining, it's always cold, it's always snowing. And they said, oh, why have you come here, Swamiji? I've come here to teach you that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is God. And he said, some of you are saying that there is no God. Some of you are saying that God is dead. Some of you are saying that God is impersonal. And some of you are saying that we are all God, except Krishna is not God. If everything is God, then why is Krishna not God? But these Mayavadis, they say, oh, God is everything. He's the tree. God is the tree, the river, the mountains, the light, the sunlight. But when you say to the Mayavadis, no, Krishna is, okay, everything is God, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the origin of all this aspect of spiritual and material nature. And they'll say, no, Krishna is not God. But Prabhupada would say that, no, if the deity form is made out of all the elements, and you're saying all the elements are God, then why is the deity form not God as well? But Krishna is especially manifest in his certain forms. Of course, the devotees understand God is everywhere. He's in the hearts of all living entities. It's the Supersoul. He's in every atom. But especially he's manifest in his deity form and the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He's manifest in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, in his devotees, in Prasadam. And if we take advantage of these most powerful forms of Krishna, then we can make rapid advancement. It's like the shortcut process, back home, back to Godhead. So many other so-called quasi-spiritual paths, but it's like climbing around and around in a mountain. But you'll never get to the top before it's dark. But if we just know, the devotee's going up in the chairlift. A quick process, back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada was in San Francisco in the early days, and some of the hippies were saying, oh, you know, we've got this LSD, and it's great pleasure there. And Srila Prabhupada was saying, no, there's no pleasure there. It's just temporary, illusory pleasure. And the hippies were going, how do you know? You know, Prabhupada said, well, I've never tried it, but my disciples have tried it, and they've given it all up for Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada gave the example like material pleasure, you may even go up to, you know, get impersonal liberation or go to higher planets, but then you have to come back down. It's like flying in a plane, you go up, but eventually you have to land. So these so-called pleasures, intoxication, illicit sex, like you get some pleasure, you get high, but you have to come back down to the harsh realities of life. But Srila Prabhupada said this Krishna consciousness is stay high forever. Stay high forever. He coined it, it's sweeter than acid. Acid is a drug, for those of you who don't know. Sweeter than acid, cheaper than pot, marijuana, and non-bustable by fuzz. Fuzz is the police. In America they call the police fuzz. So Prabhupada said, no, you don't need to take anything to induce your spiritual life. Your spiritual life is already here. It's already within your heart. You just have to bring it out by this process of Krishna consciousness. Just like you rub two sticks together. You can't see the fire. The fire is not overt. It's not visible, but when you rub sticks together, if you're expert, you can bring out the dormant fire. Nityasiddhis Krishna Prema Sajja Kabanaya. Pure love for Krishna is within the hearts of all living entities. Cannot be taken away, but Shravanadi Shuddhi Chitti Karya Daya, by the expert process under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master any living entity, that natural dormant love can be brought out. So devotees, we've come back home, back to Godhead. We don't even need to go back to the spiritual world. Of course, Prabhupada said we should get back to the spiritual world, but the spiritual world is also here. These temples are like Goloka, like Vaikuntha. They're embassies of the spiritual world. Like if you go to the American embassy, the Chinese embassy in Sydney, the people who work there, they're not under the ordinary laws that the Australian citizens are under. So similarly, when you come to these embassies of Krishna, if you're present here and fully engaged in Krishna service, you're not under the modes of material nature. You can be totally free of ignorance, passion, even goodness, and always situated in Suddha-sattva, pure goodness. Always be fully in Krishna consciousness, free of all anxiety, all frustration, and ultimately become deathless. Prabhupada said this is the process to become deathless. You know, we've already become deathless. We're becoming younger. We're getting younger by, even though the body's getting older, we're actually becoming younger because we're getting closer to going back to the spiritual world, closer to the perfection of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada was asked in the early days, how many pure devotees in this movement? And Prabhupada said, so how many devotees in the movement? The devotee said 70 devotees, and Prabhupada said there's 70 pure devotees, because they're all on the path of perfection, all on the platform of pure devotional service. So we have to stick to Krishna consciousness. You know, Prabhupada said you've wasted millions of births in this material world uselessly in so many species of life. You've never been happy, but just give one life to Krishna. Surrender this one life to Krishna. By always thinking of Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. Tasmat sarveshu kuleshu mamanushmara yujita mayapita manobuddhi mami vasyat samshaya. Therefore you should always think of me in the form of Krishna. Carry out your prescribed duty of fighting with your intelligence engaged in me, your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You're engaged in work for me. You'll attain the perfection of life. So we have to internally always think of Krishna, how to glorify Krishna, how to please Krishna, and externally always be engaged in service to Krishna, spreading the Sankirtan movement. This is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement of saving the fallen souls, bringing back the fallen souls to Krishna's family. So we have to go out, we have to spread the Sankirtan movement. How are we going to spread the Sankirtan movement if we don't go out and actively preach? Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution, Prashadam distribution. Recently up north we've been doing we have sometimes in the temple here and different temples around the world, we have the 12-hour kirtan, 24-hour kirtan programs. Very nice, very uplifting, very purifying. So many devotees come. But we should be doing the 24-hour kirtan, 12-hour kirtan, Sankirtan party on the street. So recently we've been starting that in Brisbane and Gold Coast, like monthly Sankirtan festival. 12 hours in Brisbane, the book table, Prashadam, Harinam books, and then the next day we go down to the Gold Coast, do 12 hours there. Of course, not a lot of devotees can do the whole 24 hours, just a few stick it out, but many different devotees can come through the day, do an hour or two here or there, book distribution, kirtan, and then other devotees come later, So we can do that in Sydney, we can always organise that in Sydney as well, go to Canberra, Hobart, wherever. Because we need to have more presence out there on the street. This is the movement of the street. People are not coming to the temple. We say, where's the 5 million people in Sydney? We've got 20 people here. Yesterday there was less. So where's the other 5 million people? They're not going to come to the temple. We have to take the temple out to them. Otherwise, what hope do they have? They're going straight to the hellish planets. They don't realize it, but devotees know. And devotees feel great compassion. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he said, my Lord, in the 7th canto, my Lord, I send many so-called saintly people. They're only interested in their own welfare and they go to the Himalayas, but they're not caring for the people in general in the big cities and towns. Prahlad Maharaj says, I'm more concerned to go in the cities, big cities and towns and drag these people back to your lotus feet. So we need hundreds of thousands of devotees out there to spread this Sankirtan movement. We're developing a bit of a Sankirtan team up north, some brahmacharis. The brahmachari ashram's increasing. We've got 3 or 4 devotees going out 5 days a week. So, and they're really fired up. They're like doing lots of Bhagavatam sets, small sets. So hopefully they can come down here sometime, or devotees, you can come up there, join forces. Okay, so finished that. Does anyone have any questions or comments, corrections? Do we have another microphone, or should we get a second microphone because it's recorded, right? We can use this one if anyone has questions. Yeah. Okay, so if anyone has a question, I can repeat the question. Yes. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Srila Gurudeva's mercy.
When is your next Sankirtan party?
Well, I'll go out today. I don't know if anyone's free today, but I'm planning to go downtown today and tomorrow, maybe Thursday as well, and then I have to leave on Friday. So if anyone's free, even for an hour or two, just contact me. If you don't have my number, you can get my number from lots of devotees have it. You had a question? Just pick up a little bit.
Sometimes we engage in Prabhupada service, which is as a God guide and when we perform, and sometimes we get great other activities. And again, if you like, I've heard something like we do the engineering again. So like, how do you sort Prabhupada into which is just
Very good question. So he's basically asking, sometimes we do service, but then sometimes we lose our enthusiasm and we give up service. How do we stay engaged so 24 hours a day we don't lose that enthusiasm? The best way is to stay in the association of devotees who are very enthusiastic and very fired up. One stick easily broken, but a bunch of sticks, you try it, very difficult to break. So you can practice Krishna consciousness in your own home, have your own deities, have Bhagavatam set there, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, offer your food to Krishna, but how long can you do it by yourself? But if you come here to the temple and you're doing all these activities in the association of devotees, you'll stay enthusiastic, your whole life. So Prabhupada gave the example that how, when new people come to the temple and they see devotees very happy and ecstatic, happy Haris, smiling from ear to ear. Prabhupada said, my disciples previously, they were drug-addicted, meat-eating, sex-mongering hippies, very disheveled and unhappy. Now they're shaven-headed, tilak, neck beads, smile from ear to ear, blissfully engaged in Krishna service. They're looking like they're Vaikuntha men and ladies coming from the spiritual world. So when people come and they see devotees wonderfully serving and ecstatic, it rubs off, they get attracted. Just like Prabhupada gave the story of the ball dance in the 1920s, and the men and ladies are dancing in the hall, the ballroom, and one man comes out with his partner to have a break from the dancing, and he sits down on a bench, and some naughty boy has put some glue on the bench. So he sits down. When he gets up, his coattails and pants rip, and there's a big hole there. And he goes back and he just keeps dancing with abandon with his partner on the dance floor, and other people are looking, saying, oh, that's pretty cool, So they all go and rip their pants right up, and then go back dancing. So that Prabhupada said that's like when people come to the temple and they see devotees in ecstasy and serving the Lord and becoming purified, developing so many wonderful qualities. People want to be like that, You see even many kids out there, even in Mawilumbar, a small town, we see kids with seekers. They're not devotees, but they've seen the haircut. They've seen the devotees chanting and dancing in the town, so they just imitate and get the haircut. And you just have to be fixed in realization and knowledge that there's nothing better in the whole three worlds to do than devotional service to Krishna. There's no pleasure in the material world that comes even close to the taste of Krishna consciousness. even a slight taste of Krishna consciousness is far surpasses even the enjoyment of being a demigod in the higher planets, being a king or queen. What to speak of, impersonal liberation. It pales in insignificance compared to the taste of loving devotional service to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, there was that story of some famous British lord came to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He had many questions, and Maharaj said, first, would you like to go and wash some pots in the kitchen with my disciples and brass over the pots? And he said he was somewhat humble, and he agreed to do it. So he went and did some humble service, and he came back. And so Maharaj said, so you have some questions? And the man said, they've all been answered. His heart became purified just by that humble service. Any other questions? Yes, Mataji? Hare Krishna. Well, yeah, devotee doesn't care for any liberation, definitely not interested in sayuja, becoming, one with Krishna, becoming God. But even the devotee is not interested in salokya, sashti, samipya, sarupya, attaining the same bodily form, the same planet as the Lord, the same opulence as the Lord, the same association of the Lord in the spiritual world. Pure devotee doesn't care for these. He just wants to engage in service to Krishna wherever he is. So in the sense that we're like one with Krishna's desires and the spiritual master's desires, that's the oneness, we become part of the family. So that's the oneness that we can experience right now, It doesn't mean that we become one with God, we become God. We're still eternally individuals. Krishna's the supreme individual. We're the minute individuals, separated parts and parcels. Like Prabhupada says, the drop of water in the ocean, the same chemical makeup, a tiny drop, but in quantity it's very small and the ocean is very great. So we have to always remember that we're very small. Krishna's very great. He's the only master. Everyone else is a servant. And the Mayavadis, what's that verse? Saruya Krishrena Parampadam Pada Patantyado Nandrita Yusmadangraya. The Mayavadi impersonalists, they imagine, they've achieved some impersonal liberation. But because they have no regard for the lotus feet or instructions of Krishna, they fall down from their imagined position of superiority. Just like, again, the aeroplane, if it doesn't have some place to land, has to come back down. We're not situated at the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna, then we're going to fall back down to material sense gratification. Even some of these impersonalist Mayavadi paths, they're very proud because they're controlling their mind and senses and abstaining from sinful activity. But how long can they do it unless they get the higher taste of Krishna consciousness? Eventually they'll fall victim again to the illusory energy of sense gratification. Anything else? Last question. No? So Prabhu said, how can we maintain our enthusiasm for book distribution? So by being fixed in that in realization of how important these books are, how they're the law books for the next 10,000 years, how they're the foundation. Srila Prabhupada said books are the basis. They're like the foundation of the house of Krishna consciousness. Everything's built upon this philosophy. And how they're like the torchbearers for human society to be guided properly. Krishna Sadhamma Pagate Dhamma Gyanad Bisaha. The Srimad Bhagavatam, which is as beautiful as the sun, has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna for his own abode, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of this age of Kali shall get light from this Bhagavat Purana. So devotees are understanding that Kalodoshena Dhirajan, this age of Kali, is an ocean of faults, ocean of problems. Astehekan Mahadgana, there's one great quality. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And starting this philosophy and engaging in devotional service to Krishna, Mukta Sangha Paramvijit, one can be liberated from all material problems and promoted to the spiritual world. And by going out with devotees who go out and book distribution regularly, you'll stay enthused and fired up. So, and just coming to the temple programs, you'll get inspiration. Prabhupada said these temples are base camps where we build up our strength to go out and fight Maya. Fight with Maya means dropping these bombs into the laps of thousands of conditioned souls. The small books are like, pistol fire, and the Bhagavatam is like a big bomb, the Bhagavatam is like individual Bhagavatam is like a machine gun fire, and then the whole set is like an atom bomb, completely obliterate people's materialistic life. Hare Krishna. Okay, last question. Yeah, you have to cultivate this compassion. It may not be there, but just by following this process and seeing the suffering of people not taking the Krishna consciousness, devotee naturally feels compassion. And the more you go out and preach, the more you feel compassion. And just understand that these, we're planting seeds. You may not see the fruit straight away of people actively taking up Krishna consciousness, but just giving people a book or prasadam or the Harinam, we're planting the seed. And if the more they get association with devotees, the more they chant Hare Krishna or hear Hare Krishna, the more they take prasadam, more books they get, the more they'll become purified, and eventually they'll take it up. Just like one man, his daughter plays tennis with my daughter in Mawilamba, so I go and watch my daughter play tennis, and I always say Hare Krishna to him. A lot of people say Hare Krishna too, they don't say Hare Krishna back. But after about a year, he said, "Oh, today you didn't say Hare Krishna to me." And he said, "What does it mean? When you say Hare Krishna?" He was asking, and I explained to him, and he said, "Can I say Hare Krishna?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So at the end, I said Hare Krishna. He said, "Hare Krishna." There's a lady in the bank there. She, whenever I go in, she even before I can say Hare Krishna to her, she says, Hare Krishna, Rupa, like that. So just saying Hare Krishna to people, realize that they're purified from all their past sinful activities for millions of births. May not be able to understand it, but that's the verdict of the